No, kids are kids.
Kids
you
are
know.
kids.
But the last time I seen Tiffany was Sunday night. She came up. I was standing by the Christmas tree. I grabbed her. I kissed her and hugged her and told her I loved her. And she said, I love you too. And she went into the bedroom. I snatched her purse off of her. I snatched her jacket.
On December 18th, just 7 days before Christmas,
Charged with murder, Christopher Morrison Sr. appeared via video for his arraignment.
Just 7 days before Christmas 2023, in the quiet town of East Liverpool, Ohio, a horrifying crime shattered the lives of a family and left a community in disbelief. This is the story of Tiffany Morrison, a devoted mother, a loving sister, and a woman who sought freedom from a troubled marriage, only to meet a tragic end at the hands of the man she once loved. Tiffany Morrison, 34, was known for her warm smile and unwavering dedication to her 3 children, aged 10, 13, and 14. She and her husband, Christopher Morrison Sr., had been together since they were 18, building a life and a business together, a massage parlor in their hometown. But behind the facade of a happy family, turmoil brewed. Friends and family noticed signs of strain in their marriage. Christopher's controlling behavior and Tiffany's desire for independence created a volatile environment. Tiffany confided in her sister, Heather Murray, expressing her exhaustion and determination to leave the marriage. In a text message dated December 14th, she wrote, "I'm tired of being unappreciated and spoken down to. I honestly tried, but I'm done." On December 18th, 2023, Tiffany was last seen alive. Concern grew when she failed to respond to messages and calls. 2 days later, on December 20th, Christopher confided in a close friend, revealing a chilling confession. He had killed Tiffany and hidden her body in their backyard shed. Authorities swiftly obtained a search warrant. Upon entering the shed, they discovered Tiffany's dismembered remains concealed in garbage bags. The gruesome scene painted a picture of a calculated attempt to cover up a heinous crime. Christopher Morrison was arrested and charged with multiple offenses, including aggravated murder, gross abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and possessing criminal tools. During a suppression hearing, Christopher admitted to the crime, stating, "You knew where she was. You shot her, chopped her up, and left her in the shed." On August 30th, 2024, he pleaded guilty to all charges. During sentencing on September 17th, 2024, Judge Megan Bickerton addressed Christopher directly, saying, "You call her a bad mom, how dare you? Then you stand up here today and read of someone who was in love with this person. Is that how you treat people you love? You're a narcissist. It's only about you." Christopher was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. The sentence included 20 years to life for aggravated murder, a mandatory 3 years for the firearm specification, and additional time for tampering with evidence and abuse of a corpse. Tiffany's family was devastated. Her mother, Ruth Malley, expressed her grief, stating, "My daughter was trying to get away from this monster. Every time I pull up to that house, I envision what he did to my daughter. My heart is heavy." Her sister Heather emphasized the importance of recognizing domestic violence, saying, "We're really proud of Tiffany for trying to do what is right in the situation. We wish we lived in a society where she was able to leave Christopher safely. We hope the takeaway from this case is that everyone is able to help the next person escape from domestic violence." Tiffany Morrison's story is a stark reminder of the dangers of domestic violence and the importance of supporting those seeking to escape abusive relationships. Her memory lives on through her children and the community that continues to honor her life. If you found this story impactful, please like, share, and subscribe to The Dark Stories for more true crime narratives. Remember, awareness is the first step towards prevention. Stay safe and look out for one another.
Think about the everyday lives around you, the quiet routines that seem so normal. Now imagine that normalcy just shattered by an unspeakable act of violence. Today, we're diving deep into exactly such a case.
Yeah.
The arrest and sentencing of Christopher Morrison Sr. for the murder of his wife, Tiffany Morrison, in Liverpool Township, Ohio.
It's a really disturbing one.
Yeah.
And to really get a handle on what happened here, we've looked at, quite a range of sources.
Okay.
We have the initial buzz, like from TikTok, which actually first reported the arrest.
Really? TikTok?
Yeah, kind of surprising. Then there are detailed YouTube transcripts from WTOV News 9 and The Decoder, offering their perspectives, plus, the on-the-ground reporting from news articles, WFMJ.com, The Review, Morning Journal, and The Mirror.
So a real mix of sources then.
Definitely. Each one gives us a vital piece of this tragic puzzle.
And our goal here isn't just to, list the grim details, but to really try and understand the crucial elements of the case, to look beyond the headlines and the social media snippets and grasp the underlying realities.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where did the first hints of this even come from? You mentioned TikTok.
Yeah, interestingly, the very first news of Christopher Morrison Sr.'s arrest actually popped up on TikTok.
Huh.
It just shows how quickly information, even about really serious crimes, can spread now. The actual murder, though, according to the news reports, happened on December 18th, 2023.
Just days before Christmas.
Exactly. Just a truly devastating time for something like this.
It's chilling, isn't it? The timing and the official investigation, that started with a 911 call, right?
That's right. On December 20th, 2023, so 2 days later, authorities got a 911 call reporting a dead body at the Morrison place on Shady Side Road.
Okay.
And while they were actually there, on the scene, they learned something else important.
What was that?
That Christopher Morrison had already been pulled over and detained during a traffic stop earlier that same day.
Ah, okay. And that traffic stop, it turned up some pretty significant clues, didn't it?
It really did. During this stop, Morrison was found with a handgun and a switchblade on him.
Right.
And this detail, which might seem routine maybe, it actually lined up with a crucial piece of information that was about to come from a witness.
And that witness was Randy Slager, Christopher Morrison's friend. His testimony sounds like it was absolutely critical here.
Oh, without a doubt. Slager came forward, talked to the police about the murder. He described how Christopher had actually shown him a bullet hole in the shower of their home.
Shown him the bullet hole.
Yeah. And he noted there was no blood there. And even more disturbing, Christopher showed him a photo on his phone.
A photo?
A photo of Tiffany after she'd been shot in the face.
Oh my God. That's just horrifying. And Slager wasn't just someone he confided in after the fact, was he? His involvement went deeper.
Tragically, yes. Slager told police that Christopher basically forced him, threatened violence against his family to help move Tiffany's body.
He forced him.
Yeah. They moved her body to a shed on the property. It just speaks volumes about the level of, control and fear Christopher was using.
And the timeline, looking at Tiffany's phone, her messages, that paints a pretty clear picture too, doesn't it?
It does. Investigators checked her phone records. The last text message she sent was at 6:50 p.m. on December 18th.
The day of the murder.
Right. And after that, she received 13 more texts. She never replied to any of them.
Wow.
That sudden silence right after her last known message, it strongly suggested something terrible had happened around that time.
And then the search warrant, that confirmed the worst fears, I assume.
Yeah. When they executed the search warrant at the house, law enforcement found Tiffany's dismembered remains. They were in garbage bags.
Oh, God.
And those bags were hidden inside a rolled-up carpet and a tarp out in the shed, exactly where Randy Slager said they would be.
So his account was completely accurate. And the medical examiner, what did they find?
The Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed it. Tiffany died from a single gunshot wound to the head.
Which matches the photo Slager saw.
Precisely. It lined up perfectly with Slager's account of that horrible photograph.
And even inside the house, before they found the body, there were other signs, weren't there? Disturbing signs.
Yes, definitely. Investigators found that patched bullet hole in the shower, just like Slager described.
The one he was shown.
Exactly. And behind the shower stall, they found a bullet. It looked like the same type. Plus, there was this suspicious red stain on the floor nearby.
So multiple pieces of evidence inside the house itself.
Right. It all strongly suggested a violent act happened right there, before her body was even discovered in the shed.
So it's clear Christopher Morrison went to, well, considerable lengths to try and cover this all up.
He really did. I mean, beyond getting Randy Slager involved under duress, Morrison also apparently confessed the murder and hiding the body to another friend.
Another friend.
Yeah. And he actively tried to hide the crime scene itself, patching that bullet hole, putting a new lock on the shed where Tiffany's body was. It shows a very calculated effort to obstruct justice.
And he tried to mislead the police, too, with a whole fabricated story.
Oh, yeah. He came up with this narrative about Tiffany leaving after they had an argument on December 19th.
The day after the murder.
Right. He claimed he'd kicked her out of his Jeep, even kept her phone. But that alibi, it just fell apart fast, especially when investigators looked at the real timeline and, well, found her remains on his property.
And there's also that really chilling detail about what he bought right after the murder.
Yes. On the morning of December 20th, so the day the 911 call came in, but after Tiffany was killed, Morrison went shopping.
What did he buy?
He bought a saw, blades, rubbing alcohol, and trash bags.
Oh, wow.
This was confirmed. There was a receipt from Pet Supplies, plus, weirdly enough, and then surveillance video from Harbor Freight and Walmart, all in the same shopping center.
And
Disturbingly, the model of the saw he bought matched the one that was later found with Tiffany's remains. It just points to this gruesome, deliberate plan to dispose of her body.
It really paints a picture of a calculated, just horrific crime.
Yeah.
Let's step back a bit now. What was going on in their relationship? What was the context here?
Well, Christopher and Tiffany, they had a long history. They'd been together since they were teenagers, like 18.
Wow, long time.
Yeah, they were married. They even ran a business together, a massage parlor. But sources indicate their relationship had really gone downhill. Tiffany wanted out.
Out how?
She was seeking financial independence, wanted her own place to live. This desire for separation, it seems like it was a major, major point of conflict between them.
And then there was the affair. That seems to have been a huge trigger.
Absolutely. Tiffany was having an affair with a man named Jake Hill. And on December 16th, 2023, just 2 days before the murder, Jake sent Christopher explicit photos.
He sent photos to Christopher.
Yes, of himself and Tiffany. Sent them via Facebook Messenger. Now, apparently, he unsent the messages pretty quickly, but, the notification, maybe seeing the preview or even the full content, it was enough. Christopher saw it.
And his reaction must have been intense.
Reports say he was absolutely enraged. He confronted Tiffany about the affair.
Oh, okay.
And this confrontation, it likely just pushed the already existing tensions, right to the breaking point. We also have a bit of insight into Tiffany's own feelings just before this.
Oh, what did she say?
Well, December 14th, just 4 days before she died, Tiffany sent a text message. She talked about feeling unappreciated, spoken down to, mentioned the long hours she worked managing the house, feeling like it was never enough. She said she was, quote, tired and done with it all.
So she was clearly planning to leave.
Yes, she explicitly said she wanted to move on amicably, get her own place. And she specifically mentioned she wasn't trying to abandon her kids. It really sounds like she was actively trying to figure out a path forward out of the relationship.
It sounds like she was trying to do it the right way, build her own life. And Christopher's motive then, it really came down to him just not being able to accept her decision.
Exactly. Christopher himself actually admitted it later. He murdered Tiffany to stop her from divorcing him.
He admitted that?
Yes.
Whoa.
His jealousy, his possessiveness, this need for control, those seemed to be the drivers. It wasn't just about the affair, It was about his perceived loss of control over Tiffany and her choices.
The legal process then moved, well, relatively quickly, it seems. He pleaded guilty.
Yes, on August 31st, 2024, Christopher Morrison pleaded guilty to everything. All 6 counts. Aggravated murder, gross abuse of a corpse, possessing criminal tools, 2 counts of tampering with evidence, plus 2 firearm specifications.
So no trial then?
No trial, which, spared the family having to go through that, relive all the graphic details in court.
Right, and the sentencing followed soon after.
It did. September 17th, 2024. He was sentenced to life in prison. Parole eligibility comes up after 25 years.
So 2050.
2050, yeah. And Judge Megan Bickerton, her comments at the sentencing were apparently very strong.
What did the judge say? What was her reaction?
She expressed just profound disgust at what Morrison did. She called him a narcissist. And she really condemned his attempts to paint Tiffany as a bad mom.
He tried to do that?
Apparently so. The judge questioned how he could claim to love Tiffany, given his, brutal actions. She acknowledged the parole eligibility in 25 years, but she added she'd find it very hard to believe a parole board would ever think releasing him was appropriate, given how heinous the crimes were.
Powerful words.
Yeah, they really underscored how the court viewed the severity of it all.
And Tiffany's family, her mother, spoke in court.
Yes, Tiffany's mother, Ruth Maley. She gave an incredibly moving, just heartbreaking victim impact statement.
I can only imagine.
She talked about the devastating, irreparable impact on the whole family, expressed her fear for her grandchildren's future, and she also said personally she wished he'd gotten the death penalty. Her statement really conveyed the immense loss and pain they're suffering.
And what about Christopher Morrison himself? Did he say anything?
He offered a brief apology. Reports described it as somewhat perfunctory, lacking genuine remorse, basically.
And the prosecution, how did they frame the case?
Prosecutor Ryan Weikart called it a clear, tragic case of domestic violence. He described Morrison as a narcissist who made a conscious choice to kill Tiffany rather than accept her wanting to leave.
Right.
And he was also officially designated a violent offender. That label follows him now.
And the children, it's just unimaginable for them. What's their situation now?
Their 3 kids, they were 9, 13, and 14 when their mom died. They're currently being cared for by their paternal grandmother, Kay Morrison.
His mother.
Yes, his mother. It's just a heartbreaking situation for those kids. Losing their mother like that and knowing what their father did, the trauma is immense.
It's hard to even process the long-term effects. And we also learned some disturbing things about Christopher Morrison's past, didn't we? Things that maybe shed some light on his character.
Yes. His own mother, Kay Morrison, who cooperated fully with the investigation, by the way. She revealed he'd had a previous affair himself.
Okay.
But also, she recounted 2 really troubling incidents from his younger years. One where he and some friends harmed a dog. And another where he actually stabbed another child.
Stabbed another child when he was young.
Yes. These details, they're from the past, obviously, but they suggest a pattern, maybe. A pattern of disturbing behavior, a potential for violence that was there long before this awful event.
That's incredibly chilling. And the fact his own mother shared this and her reaction, it speaks volumes.
Absolutely. Kay Morrison expressed just deep feelings of betrayal and disgust towards her son. She also remembered his behavior being really odd right after Tiffany's murder, like he was excessively burning garbage in their yard.
Trying to destroy evidence.
She seemed to suspect that, yes. Her full cooperation with the police just underlines how horrified she was by Christopher's actions and how much she condemned them.
So this deep dive, when you pull all these pieces together, it reveals just a truly horrific instance of domestic violence, fueled by jealousy, possessiveness, and just a complete refusal to accept Tiffany's basic right to choose her own life path.
Yeah, and the consequences are permanent.
Yeah.
Devastating. For Tiffany, obviously, but for her whole family, and especially those 3 children, they face a future without their mom, carrying the knowledge of what their father did.
As we wrap this up, it really leaves you with some deeply unsettling thoughts, doesn't it?
It really does.
You're confronted with the complexities, the potential dangers that can hide inside intimate relationships, the destructive power of unchecked jealousy, that need for control, and just how vital it is to seek help, find support when relationships turn troubled or abusive. What does this terrible case reveal to you about the potential for extreme violence that can sometimes just lie hidden right beneath the surface of what looks like an ordinary, everyday life?